Astrophysical jets. Why Ken's wrong. Astrophysical jets are a phenomenon on the frontier of science that astronomers can't fully explain yet. Find out how Ken Wheeler tries to exploit this mystery to propagate his demonstrably false notions of the ether, the dielectric, light, and matter. One of the frontiers of today's astronomy is the phenomenon of astrophysical jets. They're unimaginably massive linear streams of high-energy particles that seem to flow out of stars, black holes, and even galaxies. Physicists call the ones galaxies emit extragalactic jets, and they're the largest known structures in the universe. Because it would take an inconceivable amount of energy to cause them, scientists have difficulty explaining the source of these jets. Even so, they've come up with some hypotheses about how they might form. One possible explanation has to do with the disks of gas and debris that surround black holes, neutron stars, and pulsars. They're called accretion disks, and the spin of these highly compact celestial objects may twist the disk's magnetic fields in ways that somehow launch the charged particles into jets. The idea of frame dragging from Einstein's general relativity theory may explain how these massive objects launch such enormous particle jets. Rotating objects twist the fabric of space-time around them, including the accretion disk. This seems to amplify magnetic fields, ejecting the accretion disk material along the axis of the rotating compact object. Readers may not be fully satisfied with these explanations. If so, they may find comfort in the fact that neither are scientists, yet. Ken Wheeler has pounced on this exotic field of science to try to gain credence for his discredited ideas about field theory, magnets, and science generally. He tells viewers he realized the jet's true nature through an incredibly uplifting, profound revelation he's had while in a magical, altered state that he calls theurgy synthesis, during which he claims to access the library of the cosmos. There are a couple of reasons why the YouTuber behind Theoria Apophasis has targeted these phenomena. For one thing, he intensely resents Albert Einstein and his theories of relativity. Some astrophysical jets contain relativistic particles traveling very close to the speed of light. Studying them reaffirms Einstein's special relativity, one of the most successful theories in the history of science. Astrophysical jets don't just validate relativity, they also confirm the theory of quantum mechanics. Ken Wheeler vehemently denies the validity of this equally successful scientific theory, dismissing it with a conspiracy theory he calls the cult of bumping particles. The angry photographer decrees, without evidence, that the jets must necessitatively be ab extra spontaneous generation of the hydrogen. Readers will remember the basic principle of the conservation of energy from high school. We can convert energy into matter and vice versa, but there's no way for a black hole or anything else to magically generate brand new or ab extra matter. Ken Wheeler tries to claim that all energy fields in the universe derive from his unfounded notion of the conjugate geometry of the universe. The angry photographer imagines this geometry as a combination of two shapes, the hyperboloid or hourglass and the torus or donut. The hourglass shape represents his non-existent imaginary energy field, the dielectric. According to the Theoria Apophasis host, at the narrowest point in his fanciful hourglass shape, there's something he calls a point of inertia. Then, Ken Wheeler insists, an invisible flat surface emerges from that point called the plane of inertia. He imagines that astrophysical jets emerge from this plane of inertia at the center of a galaxy or black hole. Without explaining the process, he argues that astrophysical jets result from the ether and the field geometry. As we explain in more detail under field theory why Ken's wrong, Back in 1887, Michelson and Morley proved conclusively that the ether doesn't exist. Charles Proteus Steinmetz, who Kentucky Ken calls one of the gods of field theory, called the ether hypothesis a mistake. According to the angry photographer, this supposed ab extra matter takes the form of hydrogen atoms. The best evidence scientists have at the moment shows that astrophysical jets don't consist of atoms at all. Observations suggest that these enormous jets consist of electrons and their corresponding antiparticle, positrons. That's a big problem for the YouTuber behind Theoria Apophasis, because he maintains that electrons, positrons, and all other elementary particles don't exist. Raising his logical fallacies to the next level of absurdity, Ken Wheeler tells his viewers that his imagined hydrogen in astrophysical jets is actually ultra-high energy light. In fact, he contends that all hydrogen atoms are high energy light, and that the other chemical elements in the periodic table are compounded hydrogen. This notion has multiple flaws. For something to qualify as matter, it has to have mass and occupy space, and light has neither of those properties. Besides, the building blocks of matter are atoms, while light's elementary particles are photons. Speaking of atoms, the rest of the elements aren't compounded hydrogen. Elements aren't compounds of anything else. By definition, elements aren't compounds and compounds aren't elements. Again, by definition. There's no physical evidence or logical basis for Kentucky Ken's unsubstantiated hyperbolic geometry or his non-existent dielectric field. Astrophysical jets don't emit hydrogen atoms. They emit the very subatomic particles the Theoria Apophasis host claims don't exist. Ken Wheeler's supposedly divine revelation is merely motivated reasoning and confirmation bias. Fortunately, the nonsense he spouts lacks the energy and magnitude of astrophysical jets. That makes it completely effortless to both explain and contain.